Petty cash. Is it cash? It's actual money, but is it the cash account? No, it's not. The petty cash account is used for excellent question from Coral. What's the point of petty cash? To pay small amounts. Cash might not be as accessible. Cash might be in the bank. Or you wouldn't want to just swipe a 20 out of the cash register to go buy flowers for the boss, because that would throw that cash register off because you're not making a sale. It's like a little, it's basically like a piggy bank. Oh. But if you put an IOU in there, yeah. Someone's in charge of the petty cash account, a custodian. Is it always the accountant? Not necessarily. Remember, we're trying to segregate duties. Did that answer your question, Carl? Some types of businesses are going to use a petty cash account more than others. Remember, I crossed off the word transactions. I didn't like it. There's three, what did we say yesterday? Activities. Thank you. I knew it started with an A. You're going to establish a petty cash fund. That will involve a transaction. You'll make payments out of it. And what gets exchanged when there's a payment? The custodian hands out money, and then what goes in the box? A receipt. The Dumb and Dumber IOUs. Okay. What does the box always have to equal? Same amount you started with. Yep, whatever you established it with. And then, when needed, or at the end of the month, what do we do to the petty cash box? We replenish it. When you replenish it, do you see the word petty cash anywhere in that transaction? No, because you're using real cash, not petty cash, real cash, to pay all those IOUs back. When we establish it, yes. But then you don't ever see petty cash again, unless what? We do have a transaction for replenishing. It's just that the debit would be all the IOUs. And how do you pay for those IOUs? Out of cash. Whoever the IOU is to. So miscellaneous expense, postage expense, gasoline expense. And we're going to do all of those in a little bit. Let's review. You don't have to write this down because you did yesterday. If Laird Company decides to establish a $100 petty cash fund on March 1st, the entry is a debit to petty cash, a credit to cash. We're using cash. That asset is going down to start another asset, petty cash. Because do you own the petty cash? Cash is, it's still money. It's still a set of bills. It's just that it's the most liquid asset underneath petty cash. Okay, so then what about when we replenish? On March 15th, the petty cash custodian requested $87. They went to the accountant and said, hey, I need $87 to replenish the petty cash fund. Cash is going to be the credit. And all the debits, what Mitchell just asked, are all the IOUs. We owed the postage expense $44. We owed the freight out $38. We owed miscellaneous $5. And then $87 will be the cash credit. Why don't we see petty cash in this transaction? Because we're using cash to pay all these IOUs. The question I posed at the end of the class period yesterday, what happens if you're short on money? What happens if you're long on money? It's called cash short and over. It's always called cash short and over, whether you're over or short. And I want to see you like circling or underlining if you're short or over, and the debit and credit will tell you the story as well. Why will this happen? Why did we decide yesterday at the end of class that we could potentially be short or potentially be over? If you forget something, human error, you're in a hurry, You transpose the number wrong, okay? And now instead of like going through these when we're cash short and over, I actually want to just start doing them because doing them is going to make more sense. We're going to do exercise 8.7 and we're going to do exercise 8.8. Find those in your books. See if they're in the workbooks. I don't know if they are or not. So exercise 8.7, exercise 8.8. I'm excited to put this into action. We've talked a lot about it. I demoed it yesterday on the background table. We've now reviewed it, but let's see what it really is going to look and sound like in transaction form, okay? Exercise 8.7. I'm on 411 in the book. It says, Soderstrom Company establishes a petty cash fund on May 1st. Let's stop and think about it. Will there be a transaction when we establish? There's one when we establish, there's one when we replenish. So when it's an ish, we're having a transaction, okay? Cashing a check for $100. The company reimbursed the fund on June 1st and July 1st with the following transactions. What happened on July 10th? Read ahead. Soderstrom increased it from 100 to 130. Is that going to have to be a transaction as well? Yes. I'm glad the book put those in so you could see when we bring up petty cash again. Why do you think they'd increase it by $30? Yeah, they were spending that much consistently, and they thought, oh my gosh, we better change this. And you can, it's your petty cash fund. You can do what you want with it, okay? So how much is our petty cash fund? $100. So on May 1st, we are debiting petty cash for $100 and crediting cash. Don't be fooled by their names. You see cash repeatedly used. They're really different. They're two different assets, okay? So they're both assets. In this case, we are gaining a petty cash account, but how did we gain it? By using an asset to do so. So cash is going down. We're really not losing that cash. We're just moving it to a different account. That happens all the time. Would you agree establishing a petty cash fund is pretty easy? Are we going to see petty cash used when we replace? No. The only time we see the words petty cash used or the account used is when we, number one, establish, and number two, change petty cash. Change petty cash. Probably the biggest change you'll see is we'll end up increasing the value of it. Sometimes you can say, we don't need that 100. Maybe let's drop it to 50. Otherwise, petty cash does not show up. Okay, let's keep reading. On June 1st, cash in the fund was this, then there was this, 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 and this. I want to do math with you before we actually do this transaction. Is there some space where you can write below? Okay, let's do some math. What's our petty cash box at? $100 box. Does that petty cash box need to equal 100? Well, I just got done reading a bunch saying there were a bunch of receipts in there. What needs to equal 100? The cash left and the IOUs. Can we know that IOUs are the same as receipts? Okay, good. That needs to equal 100. I'm going to tell you right now, spoiler alert, it's not going to. Oh, I know. So let's do the math. How much cash was left in the fund? $1.75 left in there. There's a candy bar, okay? The IOUs, we had And I don't even need you to write down what they are. This is just the math. This isn't the actual transaction. We had 31.25. We had 39. I hope you're writing these down. And 25. These were all the receipts or what we're calling IOUs, the Dumb and Dumbers, the Harry and Lloyds. Okay. What does that equal? Let's hope it's 100, but again, spoiler alert. It's spoiler alert. 97. Aye, we've got an issue. The cash and the IOUs equal 97. What are they supposed to equal? Are we $3 short or $3 over? No, that's pretty fraudulent. It's pretty shady. So there's a new count that exists for this to happen. So let's journalize. And you might say, Mars, why? Why do we have to do that math? Because it makes it easier. It makes you very clear that you're $3 short. Okay, so on June 1st, date it June 1st, I see a debit to the delivery expense. Where do I know that it's the delivery expense? It says it in the book. What in that petty cash box tells me that IOU even exists? A little receipt. Essentially what we're doing, we're using cash to have this expense happen. Okay, like we're paying for this expense to happen. Next one, postage expense, $39. And a miscellaneous expense of $25. Based on the math that you told me, we were $3 short. The account is called, I always call cash short and over. I noticed it, that's how I learned it, but the book calls it cash over and short. I want you to get used to putting it in, whether you put cash over and short or cash short and over. I want you to put that whole account name in, and I want you to try to circle which one it is. And in this case, we are $3 short, so that's seen as a financial hit. What do you think would have happened if we were $3 over? It'd be a credit. So the cash that we're taking out of cash to pay these IOUs is actually $98.25. It's the total of all of our debits. These IOUs equal the one credit. We'll do this again. So it's going to start to make more sense because we're going to do it already again in July. Still the same $100 box. Now it's just a month later. Look on page 411. Cash in the fund was $325. So in the box was $3.25. Let's hope 100 minus 325 is what our IOUs add up to be. Again, spoiler alert. Actually, we'll see. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it all shook out right. We had one receipt for $21. We had one receipt for $51 and another receipt for $24.75. Are we cash short and over, or did it equal just so? It is even. Yay! Because these are all the IOUs. And again, cash left plus the IOUs should equal what's in the box. Now we need to journalize it. Are we going to be cash short or over? No. So on July 1, we have these 3 debits. We have these 3 debits. We did in the last transaction. It was an expense. We were either over or short. When we did our math, we were $3 short of 100 because our math equaled 97. Then we have this little funny account called cash short and over if we're either short or if we're over. And then in the July or June 1 case, we were short $3. So it's a debit. It's seen as like an expense. We take it out of cash and put it, and we pay these IOUs. Yep. No, we just say we're going to cut our losses on this, and we're going to just use our cash short and over, which is like a floating little cash account. Yep. Yep. We're going to keep doing this, and you'll keep seeing how it works. What's happening on July 10th? On May 1st, we established the petty cash fund. On June 1st and July 1st, we replenished. We decided we're going to up it, aren't we? Oh, yep, sorry. Notice the cash is not, why is cash not $100? There's still some left over. If we'd put $100 in, then we'd be cash short and over. Why in this next transaction are we not making petty cash 130 and cash 130? Why are we only seeing a $30 debit and credit? There's already $100 in there. Now we're going to put 30 more in. So what's going on in this account? We are upping the petty cash box's value. Why is it not 130? Because the 100 is already there. We wouldn't add that in. We're just adding to what our new value is going to be. I want us to mark over on the left margin the types of transactions here. On May 1st, we established. On June and July, we replenished. Nothing to do with petty cash when we replenish. We're just simply using cash to pay our IOUs. And what's going on July 10th? We didn't establish another petty cash fund for another $30. What did we do instead? We changed petty cash's value. Easy? Good. Let's do it again. Let's do E8. Hovarth Company uses an impressed petty cash system. The fund was established on March 1st with a balance of $100. Ready, go. Put that in. We established. Yep, you always have to establish it before you can actually use it. Yes. It is. You're right. Yep. Yep. The real world, you'd probably sit with your petty cash fund the same for years. So you'd only see petty cash when you establish it or change it. All right, what's happening here? During March, the following petty cash receipts were found in the petty cash box. What's the missing factor there? They give us a list of all the receipts. They didn't tell us until you keep reading what? How much cash was in the box. So I know this is kind of, you could probably do the math without, you could probably do the transaction without the math, but we're going to do it together. How much is this petty cash box worth? $100 again. Can you tell that's kind of a norm? But sometimes it'll be 200, sometimes it'll be 300, sometimes it might be 50. Okay, so we've got this petty cash box. Tell me the two things in the box that need to equal 100. Receipts and the leftover money. You got it. You're starting to catch on. It looks like, according to the book, if you kept reading, we had $2 leftover cash. We had a postage expense of $39. We had freight out of $21. We had one miscellaneous for $6, travel for $24, and then we have a second miscellaneous of $5. I'm going to star those two miscellaneous. Add that up. Our leftover cash plus all the IOUs is what? What? We gotta fire this petty cash custodian for, well, it's a different company, but we're what? Are we short $3 or are we over $3? Really though, Mallory, what's your question? Or you got it? Okay. Okay, now I'm going to show you this much, and I'm going to star right here. Why am I seeing $11 paid to miscellaneous? I thought there were two of them. Could you put miscellaneous expense in there twice? You could. Sarah. Oh. Because it's miscellaneous is still miscellaneous. Like, unless you had the miscellaneous floral fund and the miscellaneous treat fund. But they're two different accounts. Or I'm sorry, they're two different transactions still going to the same account. Right, it's still the miscellaneous. Like when Garner wanted pizza and Tim wanted a candy bar, it was still miscellaneous. Sarah, did you get your March 15th question answered? Okay. So we're short. $3. So that means cash is owed. We have to pay that $3 cash to get it all shook out. And then remember the debits of all the IOUs equal the one cash credit of what we pay to get things back in sync. Can we do a yeah but quick? Yeah but, Mrs. Mars, what if it's cash short and over, but over? What if we had been over $3? Now, I don't want to confuse you, but let's just do this had we been cash over. What if we had been over $3 instead of under $3? It would have been over, but then what would have cash been? Had we been over, that's what it would have looked like. Because that meant we had more cash than we were supposed to. So then it becomes cash over, and then we don't need as much cash to pay the IOUs. Make sense? I wish one of the problems would have had it that way, but I'm not an accounting textbook writer. Sounds like a dream job. What's going on in the last transaction? On March 20th, again, I know the date question was asked. It's telling us right there. On March 20th, the amount of the fund was increased. What two accounts are we going to use here? If we add more to petty cash, is that going to be a debit or credit? Debit. What's going to be our credit? Is it going to be 175? Why is it 75, not 175? I already have $100 in the box.